Okay, to start putting the penny hockey together, we're gonna need a nice slick surface. So this is what they call formica, and it's really thin. It's the surface on top of cabinets and countertops. So in order to make that work, I like to use this contact cement. It's water-based. The problem with water-based is it takes longer to dry, so it's gonna be a half-hour process, but not having the fumes is worth it to me. So I'm just going to open this up, and basically it looks like rubber cement, just a little bit more industrial strength. So almost like milk in there. So what you want to do is brush it on both of these. Don't go super thick, just enough to, change the color. Okay, so I'll just brush that on both of them. Go all the way to the edges. And use a brush that you don't care if it, gets ruined. I just toss them when I'm done. I get the crappy brushes. Try not to get a whole bunch on the side, so brush from the center out, and that way you won't get too much on the edges. Okay, next all we have to do is wait about a half hour, and then we're ready to assemble. And it's nice and matte. So if you touch it, it's going to be slightly tacky, and that's about it. Okay, so now the trick is putting this on top of that. Now you could try to put this on top of there like that, or you could turn this over and put it on top of here. Either way works. I'm going to do it this way because I can actually see it a little bit better. And just put it on there. And I know I have a little bit of extra all the way. So just put it on, put it over, and press down on it. Okay. Now, if you put it on the wrong and you try to take it off, it's not going to come off. It'll break before it comes apart. I mean, that stuff sticks really, really good. To make sure it sticks even better, though, we need a little bit more force than what I can do with my hand. So I'm going to take it to the floor. All right, so I'm going to make sure that there isn't anything that's poking out of the floor that's going to hurt it. Put it down. Just do a little stomp. Alright, usually then I take them all the ones that the students make, I stack them on top of each other, put them in a vise, and just clamp them down, just making sure that they all are nice and flat. Okay, now we're at the router. We're going to use a flush bit, has a bearing on the top, and then the blade is right in line with it. So what's going to happen is this is going to be in there. So and I'll router this upside down, and so we'll cut off the excess until the ball bearing hits the side, and then everything will be flush. Alright, the reason that I say not to let glue get on the side is because if you have glue blobs on the side here, they're going to rub up against the ball bearing, and it's going to move this away, and you won't get this perfectly flush. So that's why you want to make sure you don't get messy glue all over the sides. Alright, now everything's flush. If you notice that anything's weird, you can run it again, or if it was the glue, you can sand it and then run it again. Alright, this is my laser engraver. A 25 watt little mini epilogue, one of the smaller ones that they make. It's big enough for me, so I like to engrave that penny hockey pattern that I came up with a while back, and that on there makes just look a little bit more interesting than just pegs all by themselves. So I'll go ahead and make that happen. Okay, so it slowly works its way down through the whole board. It takes a while, so I usually have the students make a pile and then I run them through the laser engraver throughout the day, and then they're ready for them hopefully within a couple days. A penny right there. Now it's marking the holes to drill for all the pegs. Everybody's favorite part to watch. Alright, so this is the one that I made, just barely. And here's another one. This one is black. Looks pretty cool. And then here's another one with the same. Now you can see the difference between what you can do to the outside. You can just do plain miter, like 45-degree corners and just bring them in. This one didn't do that. Then made room to put the legs in, and here's another color over here. It doesn't look like there's much on there. It's actually a white Formica on there. That one, when I laser engrave it, the lines go black, so they look really cool. Anyway, the sizes of the holes for the penny, I use 7/8 for the big holes. Okay. And then I get 1/4 inch stock for the pegs. Old school ones use wood. I decided to use plastic. I have all sorts of colors that they can choose from. Okay, so, and they actually are really cool. So I like to mix up the materials so that they look a little bit nicer. Another thing is, if you take a penny that's 1982 or older, you can polish that up really shiny. Okay, and so that works really well. Okay, before you play the penny hockey, to help the penny slide better, I use a little bit of furniture polish and just spray it on there. And wipe it off. Don't use a whole lot, just enough to give it a little coat of wax. If you want to wipe the penny with it a little bit too, it doesn't hurt. Okay, the way that I play is each person gets one flick of the penny. I've seen other penny hockey tables where they have a whole bunch of pegs, but I think this is just right. So this person would get one flick. Well, if they got lucky, they could get it in there. And then it would be the other person's turn. So they'd have a turn, and that person's not as good, so this person would come over and flick it. Almost got it in. So then it's this person's turn. Oh, didn't make it, so the other person would go. Gotta run back and forth behind the camera. Oh, next person's turn. Oh, Next person's turn. And if you look at your angles, you should be able to find the right attack to get it in there. I didn't hit the right spot, so that didn't work. So this one, I hit there, came there, then bounced in. That might work. Oh, didn't hit the right angle. This person would try to shoot the right angle. Nope. And you just keep going until somebody makes it in. Okay? Every once in a while somebody will shoot it and it'll get right there, almost in. And I've actually had students take it and flick it and it goes over to the other side like that. So that's kind of a fun shot to try to make. Okay, so now we're gonna drill that hole with this one. Now with this particular bit, if you try to drill all the way through a piece of wood, when it gets to the other side, it's gonna make a huge blowout. Like it's gonna splinter the wood like crazy. So the way to avoid that is to drill halfway through, flip the board over, and then drill the other half of the way through from the back side. Alright, so you want to center it, stay close. Okay, that usually gets stuck on there, so turn it off and then wait for it to come to a complete stop. Take that piece off, because I found if I try to power my way through that, it can try to shove it underneath the layer and then you have to start over. So stop, take it off, and then keep going. Okay, now remember to go halfway. Okay, you should be able to see a little hole on the other side. If not, then go a little bit further. Okay, what about just, you know, a couple layers deep on the plywood there. Alright, turn it over and it should center automatically. Once that tip hits that circle, it's going to move the board and get it right on the money. Voila, and then you have a perfect hole all the way through. Okay, a little bit right there, but not nearly as bad as if I would have tried to just plow my way through the whole thing. Alright, for the 1/4-inch drill bit, I made it so that it will stop right before it exits out, so it's going to stop automatically. If you want to drill them all the way through, that's fine, but I like to make the bottom nice and the bottom of the board nice and clean. And then all we have to do is hammer the pegs down in there. Alright, again, I leave the walls up to the students. They can choose to do a 45 miter joint right there on the corners, which I think looks really nice. Or they can make them so that they're the same length here, and then when they turn it to this way, cut it so it goes all the way across. This one, the student didn't do that. They forgot to make this one go all the way across, so they added in the legs. And we reinforce it with a nail gun and just glue them on. It's a real easy project and it turns out really nice. Okay, you could technically make these however big you want them to be. Mine are 8 1/4 by 11 1/2. Don't put too many pegs in. Again, my students make them like this. I'm not going to go through all the dimensions of where all the pegs are because I do that in the classroom, but I might do a separate video giving all the dimensions later. So this video is just dedicated on the process to make it. Okay, but I do have the students draw this in 3D on Inventor before they make it in the shop.